August to get here because something may happen in August. I mean, we do this every few months.
Right.
There's an important time period that we're waiting to see if we get through that in one piece.
Right.
So far, we've made it, but one of these times we're not. So I think everybody just needs to be aware, on their toes, keep checking everything, and be alert. That's the bottom line: is be alert and be ready.
And Griff, I mean, you just said it yourself. 12 years you've been doing this every day. Have you felt that electricity in the air before, or that feeling of impending? I don't want to say doom, more like chaos. Have you felt it before?
No, never have. It's more intense now than in those past years. I will say that Cliff High favors the war between Israel and Iran, accelerating to other Arab nations and then accelerating and engulfing the United States. He favors that scenario. But I agree with what's been said here tonight. I think all of the other trip levers will come in, the dollar collapse, the Gulf situation, and Cliff High is calling for over 2 billion people to die as a result of all of this. So it's going to be a major event. We will not be able to rebuild for several lifetimes, and it's going to take a different mindset among the people to turn it around. Now, that is if the Chinese and foreign countries don't invade. If they're so devastated, they will not be able to invade the United States and take over our cities and our whatever wealth, whatever materials we have left. That is also a possibility, but it's going to be bad. One other comment I wanted to make to Greg. Greg, your life form, whatever that life form is in your body, is alien to this earth. So you could say that we are also, couldn't we?
Well, you sure could, Griff. I tell you could make lemonade out of anything.
Couldn't he?
Hey, wait a minute. I'm just a Homo sapien. I'm not an alien.
You are a Homo sapien.
I'm a Homo sapien.
Well, I'm glad you put the second part on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you know who's good for doom and gloom? Andrew is always good for doom and gloom. Andrew, do you have any doom and gloom for us? I mean, as if we haven't jumped down the rabbit hole already.
No, fresh doom. And this, I love that Griff brought up that he brought up Cliff High, because Cliff High, I was listening to an interview he did with Jeff Renson, and he explained Patrick Gerald and his sunspot theory. So I looked that up. I found it. There was a great presentation on YouTube, and he has this theory that the sun is rolling through a cycle according to Mayan and Egyptian codexes up to approximately December 21st, 2012, give or take. And Cliff High had cited that Patrick Gerald's sunspot theory predicted August 1st of this year would be a major event. And sure enough, there was the double filament eruption, which was called the solar tsunami that happened that day. And it really wasn't well publicized, but based on just a little bit of research I did, it looks like the whole magnetosphere got compressed by the quote-unquote solar tsunami, and Russia and Africa simultaneously lit on fire within a period of about 48 hours when that happened. And the next predicted date is October 27th. And I just put up a video tonight about what's going on with the sun, but there's this giant circle facing us right now, and that side of the sun that is facing us currently is what will be facing us again in exactly 11 days. So if you just back it up a little bit, that's what we're going to be looking at. And it just fired off an M3 coronal mass ejection yesterday. So we're looking at potentially a major solar disturbance coming. And I've actually heard it rumored, and I will say that this is sworn speculation, nothing beyond that, as John Moore would say, that all these moving pieces that we see on the board right now are nothing less than getting ready for whatever the sun is about to do.
Well, you see that they're building all these military, these underground bases. You have to wonder why. You have to wonder why they built the seed vault inside of a mountain in the Arctic Circle in such haste. And it's got to make you wonder, first of all, the logistics to build a seed vault in the Arctic Circle in the side of a mountain. You know, when you go on this little island, there's no McDonald's or infrastructure or anything in place for these workers to go and eat at or live in or do anything. So, I mean, everything has to be trucked in, and they did it in a 9-month span. So what is the rush? That's the question, you know, and you see these things, and this is happening in broad daylight, and it makes you ask why. What
Look
the
at the
heck
Denver
are they
airport.
doing?
Look at the
Right.
Denver airport.
Right.
I mean, geez.
So
one of the scenarios that I was informed about that revolved around a camouflaged EMP pulse detonated by one of our adversaries over the continental United States is a possibility at a time when there is a huge eruption on the sun, but they wanted to make sure that it actually did the damage instead of just ricocheting off into space or not having much effect. And when the power company representatives from around North America were called to Washington roughly 4 months ago, it may have been a little longer than that, I don't remember the exact date, they were asked to come up with a plan that could deal with a mass disruption of the electrical grid in North America. Mm-hmm. They spent a couple of days, and at the end of it, a very terse final report that said, in effect, there was nothing that could be done. The grid would go down.
And, you know, it's funny that you say that, Greg, because you see a lot of back-channel news put out by NASA, you know, the big one's coming, the big one's coming. They're telling people that it's coming. So, I mean, we see they're telling us, so what do you do? You know what I mean? If something's, what do you got to do? Go dig a hole in your backyard?
Well, and whether or not the Inquirer part of that, which is okay, we're going to detonate 3 nuclear devices above the United States to blanket it with EMP, whether that really has grounding or not is not the point. It's simply that there are some things so large that we cannot deal with it. If that does occur and we do end up in the 1860s in our technological world, then you know what? We're going to have to deal with that as well.
That's right.
Granted, I don't worry about it every day. If the lights go off, they go off. They stay off, they stay off. But if I am planned ahead and I have an ABC and I've got Griff there to keep me calm, we'll be all right.
Well, they lived for thousands of years without power. I think we'll live.
That's right. Andrew,
what
are you going to do in D.C. when the lights go out?
Well, look, man, I won't be anywhere near here because I will have seen it coming.
Good plan.
It is seen in. This was in a Tom Clancy book, but it's the Russian governor. Things are going crazy. I cannot remember the book right offhand, but basically at one point in the story, it comes to would I be better seen by my people to be out of control or evil? And the conclusion was it's better to be seen as evil than out of control. So I have pondered that question in that book when I see the BP oil spill and the things that are happening around the country that are being claimed to be based on incompetence or anything else. And just wonder if somebody's claiming credit for it, just so we don't know that nobody's in control of this thing.
It's an interesting concept for sure, you know. I'm kind of the opinion that Erin said, you know. I truly believe that there's some serious evil forces behind this, evil spiritual forces, satanic, if you want to call them satanic, whatever you want to call them, it's demonic. And the fact is that there's a lot of demonic forces that are driving this, and it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better, don't you think, Erin?
I think it's going to get a lot worse.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be worse than most people can even fathom. I've put articles up on my blog about cannibalism. Hungry people do stupid stuff and they become mean. They're going to eat you. It's real simple. That's history. That should show everybody that.
And then
I think it's going to get real bad.
Look at all the predictive programming on the television. You know, you got History Channel doing a special about what happens after the apocalypse or a cataclysmic event. Surviving.
They're running that movie.
Right.
I'm Alive. Remember where the team crash in the mountains and they
yes.
hate each other? They're playing that.
And also, how about that movie, The Road?
The Road.
That you want to talk about cannibalism? There you go. I mean, just watch that movie. That was enough to that made me sick when I saw that. But
Joe, the Book of Eli.
It made me make a prep run.
Yeah, Book of Eli, just like Andrew said. You know, all of these movies are coming out. Are they capitalizing on the fear of 2012 of that? Or is it something else? Is the intention something else?
They always tell you what's going to happen. That's the thing.
It's like a bad Scooby-Doo episode, you know?
Yeah.
And these meddling kids are getting in the way.
the villain always lets his plan out, you know? And I just don't... It's right on the tip of my tongue, you know, as far as seeing all this stuff and putting the picture together, but it's not, if you know what I mean. I don't know. Folks, if you guys want to call in, the number to call, 646-727-3387. Don't forget, first week in November, we are migrating to our new network, revolutionbroadcasting.com, revolutionbroadcasting.com. And also you can get the latest news from our news site, the Intel Hub, www.intelhub.com. And we will be bringing you Travenile One show at 10 o'clock Eastern. That's right here on the Intel Hub Radio Network at Blog Talk Radio. So if you feel like listening to some more radio and some good radio at that, please stay tuned for Travenile One at 10 p.m. Eastern. So, you know, I found it kind of funny that they brought up that John, who called in earlier, brought up the alien thing, and I've heard quite a lot this time around, or in these days, about Nephilim and things like that. And I'm interested to find out your opinion on that, Erin. Do you think that they exist?
I think that they do exist. All you have to do is read your Bible.
Right.
That's simple, and you can't concentrate everything on that storyline, so to speak. But you have to be aware that this could be a problem that you're going to have to deal with. We know that the government's doing wacky experiments. I think that the Bible tells us a lot. If people would just read it and understand, I think that we're going to be under there's going to be so much demonic activity that's just going to be part of it. I think that people that aren't prepared, that aren't awake, that are, I think there's going to be like zombies. I really do. I mean, Greg could probably attest to that. These people are going to be nuts.
Yeah. You know something? It's funny you say that because they're firing up that CERN, or it's already fired up. I mean,
is it a portal? You know, I have to wonder that.
I don't know. You know, Teller, when they were experimenting with the nuclear bomb back in the 40s, they didn't know at the first test whether or not that chain reaction would get away from themselves and they'd burn everything up. They just kind of, you know what? It's a possibility. Let's try it anyway. Regardless of the damage or the circumstances that it would cause, or the mass devastation that it could cause, you know, much like a fusion reaction kind of keeps going and, you know. And so they just did it. Whatever happens, happens. And I guess they got lucky or whatever, but they're doing the same thing now with this CERN.
But now they're going to be dealing with strangelets and everything else that we don't know enough about.
Right. Absolutely right. We just don't know enough about it. God only knows what's going to happen when that happens.
Manhattan Project all over again.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, Griff, I got a question from the audience. How do you feel about aliens and transdimensional beings? What's your opinion on it?
I think I saw one the other day at Walmart. Erin? Erin hangs out at Walmart quite a bit now.
I do. That was you. That was me.
I think we're all aliens. I wanted to poke fun at Greg a minute ago, but I think we're all aliens. We're a life form inhabiting the body. We're in the body for a short period of time, and then we exit the body, and then more life forms come in. We're not from this place. we meet the definition of alien ourselves. I'm not sure that all of the other people that we think are